offensive array for number 3 Duke in its season opening win on Friday, and now the Blue Devils turn it around less than 48 hours later against the number 17 Vermont Catamounts following their first ever NCAA tournament. Hello everyone, welcome to Koskinen Stadium. Corey Spector with the former Duke attackman David Keefe. And Dave, let's start with Brennan O'Neill for Duke. Sophomore attack, he leaves you speechless at times. A career-high 6 goals against Robert Morris on Friday.
Absolutely unstoppable. A generational player, sophomore, who put up 54 points on 45 goals last year. A lefty cannon. How do you stop him? He's a powerful dodger. He can play at any side, particularly on the left, and he's just getting started, really.
The reigning ACC Freshman of the Year. Meanwhile, for Vermont, the Catamounts return all but 3 goals from last year's team. Their leading distributor, David Klosterman, leading goal scorer, Thomas McConvey, both back in the fold.
Both back in. These guys are veteran players. They're used to playing with one another. They have almost muscle memory. They anticipate where they're going to be. They play a lot of low two-man games, and they are going to look to really try to disrupt the Duke defense.
Should be a very entertaining matchup today. Vermont, winners of the America East tournament for the first time last season. Duke has been to championship weekend, Memorial Day weekend, in each of the past 3 NCAA tournaments. And Dave, this really shapes up to be one of the best early season non-con games of the year.
Yeah, it is, and it's great for the fact that we were able to have this nice weather down here. Both teams are getting together. It's the first game for UVM, and they're going to be able to, I think, really put up a good showing here against the Blue Devils. So up for an exciting game.
And it's going to be a very interesting matchup at the Face-Off X. Jake Naso and Tommy Burke, as Naso wins it right away. And Duke has the opening possession in the home white uniforms. Vermont in the green.
First successful clear for Duke.
It was an absolute avalanche of goals for Duke early on in the game against Robert Morris. 2 in the first 40 seconds. And Brennan O'Neill, 34 in white, scored 15 seconds in.
Andrew McAdory moving the ball. Outstanding freshman from St. Anthony's.
Number 2 overall recruit. He shoots it low and it goes off the knee of Ryan Cornell. The shot clock resets to 60. Out of bounds, and it's Vermont's ball as Stone Jacobs picks it up for the Catamounts. Vermont program that won the America East for the first time last year, taking down UAlbany in the championship game before losing to Maryland in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and that was a really important game. I think that it showed that UVM can play with anybody, and they're here. They're here to show that they're going to be firmly rooted in the top 20, and hopefully, eventually in the top 10.
Here is Thomas McConvey, 44 in green, the leading goal scorer last year with 37. Limoges perusing behind the cage, guarded closely there by Will Frizzoli. Vermont scored 188 goals last season. 185 of those goals are back this year with the Catamounts.
Duke aggressively pushing out, forcing their offensive players to really think about their dodges.
.12 seconds left on the shot clock here for Vermont. Limoges behind the net. Shot clock down to 5 now. Limoges needs to find an option, and Vermont turns it over.
Duke playing aggressive defense there. That started with Jake Caputo off on the wing. Short stick defensive midfielder. Second successful clear for Duke. Here's Brennan O'Neill.
34 in white, ACC Freshman of the Year last year, number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2020. Only 4 goals behind Chris Gray of UNC for the lead in the conference. Charlie O'Connor possesses for Duke. Inside, the bouncing shot is stopped by Cornell.
Nice ground ball by Brennan O'Neill, picking it back up, getting it right back in play. Duke has already 3 shots on goal.
Joe Robertson, 8 and white with that last attempt as Duke recovers here with 25 on the shot clock. Here is Grant Mitchell, the transfer out of Ohio State. Nice dodge, he shoots, and Cornell gets a stick on it. Oh, an impressive save for Ryan Cornell, keeping this game scoreless.
Duke got its substitutions in. Tyler Carpenter, long stick midfielder, playing down low.
33 in white, guarding the far side of the crease as David Klosterman possesses for Vermont. Second line midfield, Brock Haley is on. Clay Weiss jogging on as well, 18 in green, he has it. Chris Fife saying that in order for Vermont to take the next step this year, maybe win an NCAA tournament game, that he needs more from that second line midfield. Here they are.
Yeah, it's important for Vermont to take advantage of every opportunity. They have to keep their turnovers low, and they have to take good shots if they're going to hang with the Devils today.
Well, Chris Fife was telling us that they want to put Duke in a lot of situations where they're going to force the defense to communicate. Use those two-man games right there with Klosterman, and Mike
Nice
Adler
save.
makes a save on Klosterman.
Nice save by Mike Adler. That was a really offside hip. Beautiful, classic save. Duke 3 for 3 on their clears now.
Transition play was the name of the game for the Blue Devils early against Robert Morris, and Ryan Cornell is standing tall inside the crease for Vermont early on.
Cornell already has 3 saves.
Ryan Cornell already with 3 saves for the Catamounts. Limoges, he scores! Liam Limoges on the doorstep. And after a series of saves from Ryan Cornell, the Catamounts grab the early lead.
Don't know if Duke was actually ready on that play, but they were coming out on Limoges. You can see the play develop here, and it looks like there was a little bit of slow hesitation getting there. Limoges just takes a quick shot, opportunistic from the goal line extended. And, you know, just going to try to test Adler all day long.
Limoges with 28 goals last season, nets the first of the year for the Catamounts and beats Kenny Brower to the cage. And Vermont, in a game after in which Duke got 10 goals in the first 9.5 minutes, the Catamounts on top.
Duke settling in.
You know, what makes this Duke attack just so potent? The amount of different players that can get it done. What is it about them that's so potent?
You know, the thing about the Duke attack is that they're versatile. Many of these guys played both attack and midfield in high school, and so they're going to be able to have a sort of a Swiss Army knife kind of approach to how they play the game. A lot of inversions, a lot of trying to find the key matchups and being able to put the right players in the right position at the right time.
Big deck by
Really
Matt Camille.
Very nice move there, using the sidelines. Yeah, you could see he really didn't have a chance with that pass. He was hanging up a little bit too high for too long, and the Vermont player just wasn't able to really make any inbound play. Duke's moving the ball around methodically. I tell you, the thing about this game is going to be if Duke is going to play the transition game that they want to play, or is Vermont going to slow them down? If Vermont can make this a half-field game and keep the score, say, under 10, it's going to be a long day for Duke. Otherwise, it's going to be a whole different ball game if the Duke offense gets rolling.
You know, it's interesting. Chris Fife, the head coach of Vermont, told us that he thinks if Vermont keeps this close, it would be a high-scoring game, which kind of surprised you as Nakai Montgomery puts it down for Duke, and we're tied at 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, low-scoring game, high-scoring game. It's going to come down to also, like, which goalie is hot. Right now, Cornell's showing he's in this game. Beautiful pass off to Nakai Montgomery. This is his signature shot, really. I mean, he is an amazing over-the-top shooter, usually on the ground, and he's able to do that shot every time he gets time and space. So he's been doing that.
Nakai Montgomery, he actually didn't score in the opening game against Robert Morris. Duke had 13 different goal scorers in that game. Brennan O'Neill with 6, Dyson Williams with 4, and then 11 other players had a single goal, yet none for Nakai Montgomery, who had 15 last year.
Yeah, that's a shock, but you know, he's also such a great leader and role player. He doesn't need to be the guy who's scoring as long as the offense is producing, and that's what you see. There's a selflessness on this team. And, you know, an abundance of talent. If one guy's not doing it, then the other guy's going to step up.
Duke now with 3 face-off wins against none for Vermont.
Andrew McAdory right now with the ball, exciting player. Pound for pound, one of the strongest guys on the team, actually, in the tradition of Jordan Wolf. People don't necessarily remember that, but Jordan was a beast in the weight room.
Montgomery again.
Montgomery's having a big day. That's signature move from Nakai coming across. He's just doing a sweep dodge. No one picks him up, and he bangs it home. High heat.
John Danowski in his 16th year at the helm for the Blue Devils. Overall, 433 wins to lead all Division I head coaches. And on the other side, Chris Feist for Vermont, leading this number 17 Catamounts team in his 6th year. Very familiar with Koskinen Stadium, former defensive coordinator with North Carolina. He won a national championship with the Tar Heels in his final year as an assistant in 2016. Nakai Montgomery with 2 goals thus far for the Blue Devils. Vermont struck first on a goal by Liam Limoges. And possession awarded to Vermont after the Catamounts lost the opening 3 faceoffs. Hey, what have you made of the first 7.5 minutes of this one?
Yeah, you know, I think Vermont's playing at a good pace, but the problem from Vermont, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. Is, you know, do you want to have your goalie be the factor that keeps you in the game? So, you know, they've been able to show that they can play the game against the Devils, and again, I think that this is still developing. You want to have a hot goalie, and so the key is will it last for 60 minutes?
Ryan Cornell with 3 saves thus far for the Catamounts, as Vermont looks to tie the game up at 2. Klosterman using the 2-man game with Limoges.
Interference.
And it's Duke ball. Now, you were kind of touching on this earlier, Dave. Does Vermont want to make this a track meet, or do they want to slow it down at times?
You know, if I'm Vermont and I heard or saw about the Robert Morris game, and understanding Coach Danowski's desire to really give the permission for the team to be a transition team this year, I would want to slow it down. Try to create again like a half-field game, because they have the veterans that understand how to score with time and space. And so, you know, that for me is something that I think over time is going to be something like how bad, how can they stay with the Devils up and down the field, run and gun? Are they that team? And we don't know yet. This is their first meeting in 35 years. So there's not a lot of history here that we can bank on.
Vermont trying that transition game, and the Catamounts start to make some substitutions as they get set in the half field here.
Yeah, I mean, other observations, Duke has not shot the ball well. They've had a number of shots right up on cage. So in some regards, they're making it a little bit easy for Cornell, but he's had some great saves. So if Duke shoots a little bit better, I think that they're going to be able to, you know, obviously try to get in his head a little bit. And I think that's something that, you know, is plays out.
Jonas Hunter behind the net. Draws the slide, the double team converges, and great play by Matt Camille. 25 in white, the graduate student out of Garden City, New York.
Yeah, so that was a great play. Let's see if we can capitalize. They can capitalize this in the middle of the field.
Then Duke turns it over, and Griffin Fennick has it for the Catamounts. And Chris Feist, the head coach for Vermont, utilizes a timeout. Well, Duke turns it over, but on that prior possession, this double team by the Blue Devils, pretty stingy.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing here is that the player turned his head, and once he turned his head, the Duke guys are leaving. They're leaving fast. They have the permission to do that, and they're going to, try to get it quickly up at transition as they did. They just made a couple errant passes and turned the ball over in the middle third.
There is John Danowski, the head coach of Duke. So impressed with what Chris Fife's brought this program to the Catamounts in his 6th year. He was so complimentary even after the game on Friday against Robert Morris, saying, look, we've got to turn our attention quickly. And it was interesting speaking to Danowski this week, Dave. He said we don't get the opportunity to put much effort into Vermont throughout the week because we got to worry about game 1 against Robert Morris on Friday.
Yeah, it's early season. It's interesting. I mean to look at some of the teams that come in here. Many times it's their first game. Duke might have 4 games under their schedule, and those first 4 games are the other opponent's first game of the season in each case. So no one's really getting a tremendous amount of time to prepare, and it's right now it's non-conference, so you're also don't have the same familiarity. You don't have the same understanding of the matchups that they would if they were playing a Notre Dame or a Carolina or a Syracuse. So it is a challenge. They're trying to learn a little bit about each other on the fly.
It's a Duke team last year that lost Michael Sowers in his 1 year with Duke, 37 goals, 44 assists after transferring in from Princeton. So they got to figure that side of it. On the attack out, they did so with 21 goals on Friday. And then on the defensive side with JT Giles Harris also leaving, becoming a professional with the Chrome in the PLL.
Yeah, the absence of Sowers was a big question mark, and then, at that point, I think the question mark was largely answered the other night with Robert Morris and really seeing how a Brennan O'Neill offense is going to work. And the coach has given full permission and license for Brennan to take the ball and be a playmaker, be a creator, and then that's a sign of trust that you really want to make sure that you develop with your offensive players. So. It's going to be exciting. I think Brennan's just starting, but I tell you, Vermont right now it has kept it so that Brennan hasn't really touched the ball.
Michael McCormack on the outside, graduate transfer from Middlebury College, 97 in green in his 2nd year with Vermont. That guy's got an absolute tank of a shot. Klosterman loses the ball behind the cage, and Kenny Brower picks it up, the junior captain for the Blue Devils. And we mentioned the loss of JT Giles Harris. It really puts a guy like Kenny Brower in a position to step up as the anchor of the Blue Devils defense.
Yeah, Kenny Brower, he's an incredible anchor in that regard. He put on a show the other day in the middle third of the field, showing that he can bring the ball all the way up. He's a leader down low, but any of these guys can come up the field and become an offensive threat as well. So JT Giles Harris was known for that. Vermont doing a good job hanging in there with these guys in the middle third.
Jacobs to the outside, Klosterman. Duke settles back defensively. The bouncing shot from the edge of the crease is stopped by Mike Adler.
Duke right now, I'm looking to clear the ball, get it over, and get it into Brennan O'Neill's hands, just so he doesn't go cold right now, and get a really nice, thought-out shot on a goal.
It seemed like a long time since Duke has had a clean offensive possession, hasn't it?
Yep, and this is something that is, it works to the benefit of Vermont. The longer that they can keep the ball on their offensive end, that's like playing defense against our offensive unit. They can go cold.
And the shot is stopped inside off the deflection. That was Cam Bador, the captain, who could not release the shot. Vermont in transition. Limoges, Cornell out of the crease, and then the shot is whistled home by David Klosterman.
Incredible play.
Well, Dave, they said Ryan Cornell was involved in the clearing game. I didn't know to this capacity.
Yeah, well, we talked to their coaches, and they said he's one of the best, if not the best athlete on the team. If you watch here, he initiates the play, follows the play, assists, and, it's just a matter of a classic 4-on-3 break that turns down into a 2-on-1 and ultimately just a great shot. So that's a play you rarely see a goalie making that kind of transition.
Wow, Ryan Cornell. Give that man an assist. And we are tied up at 2. Duke has now won 4 out of the 5 faceoffs. Cole Krause coming in as a long pole to help out. Let's see if Duke tries to settle it down. You see Brennan O'Neill putting his hand down, trying to get his guys to get into the right position.
Yep, and that's, coaches asked him to take on that leadership role as a sophomore, and he can do it. So right now it's, what kind of quality shots do we get, and if we have easy shots, do we put them in?
Andrew McAdory beats his defender, bounces it wide to the left side of Cornell, and Duke backs it up. Closest player to the ball when it goes out of bounds off a shot is awarded possession. Feed to the front, behind the back, it was deflected. That shot coming from the talented freshman McAdory. And Ryan Cornell opts this time to stay in the crease and pass it back out in the clearing game.
It was a quality play. There's nothing wrong with taking a behind the back shot. You just got to make sure that it's well placed, and it gives you the ability to actually deceive the goalie. In this case, it hit the goalie.
There is Mike Adler, the goalie for Duke. Leads all active Division I goalies in saves, entering today with over 600. Transfer out of St. Joseph's.
If I'm Duke right now, there's a minute left. You're looking to, again, get that quality shot, work it around, be methodical. It definitely, they're working, in more of a settled offense today versus what we saw with Robert Morris the other night, which was all transition.
When would you start to initiate this offense here, since you want that final possession?
I usually around 25 seconds, even though a lot of teams wait down to 15, but 25 seconds, because you don't want to get in trouble with 10 12 seconds left, so you can wait too long.
O'Neill can't find a teammate. They deem it a pass. It's Vermont ball anyway, with under 20 seconds to go. So Duke's offense a little bit rattled to start in the opening 15 as opposed to what we saw against Robert Morris.
Yeah, this will be a key right here, see if they can get a stop if they have
as
shot
Jacobs
on
puts
goal.
it on Adler. Couple of seconds remaining here for the Catamounts. Klosterman in front looking for Nick Alviti. And that'll do it for the opening quarter here from Koskinen Stadium. Tie game at 2. Vermont hanging tough with the Duke Blue Devils. Second quarter coming up next. Deadlocked at 2 as we start the second quarter from Koskinen Stadium. Number 3 Duke, number 17 Vermont, each with 2 goals in the opening 15 minutes. Corey Spector here with the former Duke attackman David Keefe. And Dave, what has impressed you about Vermont's composure thus far in this one?
I think from a game plan perspective, they're doing exactly what they want. If coach had looked at this and said we'd be 2-2 at the end of the first quarter, that's really what you want. That means that they've controlled a lot of time of possession and the clock, and had a lot of good saves coming up from their goalie, which makes the Duke offense play a little bit tight. They're thinking maybe a little bit too much about every shot.
It was certainly a tumultuous path for Vermont to get down to North Carolina. The initial plan for the Catamounts was to be in Durham by Friday, and instead they got to Durham late Saturday night. A couple of flights changed. They were supposed to go to New Hampshire rather, in Manchester, and leave Friday morning. That didn't happen. Flight got canceled. They had to bus back to Vermont, then they bused to Boston, and long story short, they got here late last night, got a practice in, ended that practice around 9 o'clock, and so far looks pretty sharp in the opening minutes against the Blue Devils.
Vermont's being very patient, looking for the right matchup. Got the short stick, quick shot, try to see if Adler's awake. Backed up by Vermont.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of chess match between these two teams, right? Where does Vermont find the short stick? Is it Griffin Fennick that gets the short stick matchup? Is it someone else for the Catamounts that needs to step up?
Yeah. Well, Duke has a plethora of long stick midfielders. They're playing really almost all over the field. So you just saw right there, I think Owen Caputo. Yeah, Owen Caputo's matched up. Just a nice inside move, brings it back cross side, picks the shot off the goalie's shoulder.
Griffin Fennick, as we mentioned, draws the short stick and capitalizes to give Vermont the 3-2 lead. And when we spoke to Chris Fipes, he said, yeah, we need more from our second line middies, but Griffin Fennick is a guy who's going to get the short stick. He had just 10 goals and 5 assists last season, but if we want to be that premier team in the national landscape, Griffin Fennick needs to call his own number maybe a little bit more often.
Violation on Duke. Face-off violation. Cats ball.
Second line midi, Brock Haley's out there, asserts himself to the net, and he finishes, but this is going to be a crease violation against the Catamounts as Haley goes barreling into Mike Adler. So you can finish inside the crease, just not inside the goal mouth, but clearly Haley was in that 6 feet of diameter.
Yeah, you know, he's got the same, almost the exact same move. Problem is his body and his whole momentum brought him right into the goal, and that's going to be taken back.
And so not only does the goal get wiped off the board because of how vicious the collision was, this could result in a penalty on Vermont, as the flag did come out. It's one of the interesting things in lacrosse. The officials can decide how much time they want to give a play like that against Vermont, Brock Haley, as they determine the severity of the contact. Chris Fipes, the Vermont head coach, is coming out wanting an explanation. Let's listen in here.
White, number 1, push, 30-second foul. Green, 11, unsportsmanlike conduct, 1 minute full time.
Okay, so while the penalties are being assessed, they are trying to fix the net to our left. Fouls on both teams as they try to rearrange the goal to the left.
We have multiple penalties. First one, Duke. Number 1, Garrett Ledman, 30 seconds for a push.
So Garrett Ledman gets the initial push for Duke.
Number 11,
and then Brock Haley gets a minute on the Vermont side.
Seconds, personal foul.
What'd you think there, Dave?
Yeah, it was a clear cross check from behind. I didn't see Ledman involved in it at all. So it looked like it was on. That was Wade. Yeah, so they're going to get him for a cross check. He's playing around, and then the Vermont player, I believe, would be penalized for the charge into the goal, which is, I think, an interference call. So it looks like the goal will count, unless
No, the goal was wiped off for sure.
goal's wiped off, not on the scoreboard. Yes, goal was wiped off, yeah, right.
So each team has a player on the sideline right now. Duke tries to clear after the long stoppage with Jack Frizzoli. Vermont nearly forces the turnover. Ball is still up for grabs as Kenny Brower just kicks it ahead, and Vermont wins it. Tim Manning picks it up for the Catamounts. And a flag is down on the near side of the field all the way to the left.
Vermont's just playing very cagey ball right now. Aggressive, pushing Duke, making Duke drop the ball, turnovers, you name it. Nice play in the middle third of the field. It's exactly what their game plan said they wanted to do.
So now that each team has a player on the sideline, it's 5-on-5. Now Duke returns a player. That is Tyler Carpenter, and so Vermont goes 5-on-6 with the flag down. They'll probably want to waste away this time so they can get the full man-up advantage after the ball goes out of bounds or the next whistle. Limoges tiptoes his way towards the crease, shoots it wide of Adler, and the Duke goalie picks it up, and Vermont goes to the man-up. So Dyson Williams goes off, and Vermont to the man-up.
Yeah, I mean, it's really right now the whole story of this game is time of possession. Vermont has had the ball most of this game in their offensive end.
So Duke has the edge in total shots, but it does feel like the Catamounts have possessed the ball more in the first 17.5 minutes of this game. Catamounts last season, 41% with the extra man. That was top 17 in the country. Limoges. Haley shoots, and Adler gets a foot on it, backed up by Klosterman for Vermont. Michael McCormack, 97 in green. He wants to shut up for the big shot on the outside. As the pass goes awry out of bounds, and it's Duke's ball as the Blue Devils kill it off.
Blue Devils need to be patient here. They're man down. They got to get the ball in and then play a little bit of keep away.
Kai Montgomery, who gives it back to Aiden Denenza, 88 in white, a sophomore. Top 26 recruit in the class of 2020. Duke very high on Denenza, who has really improved upon his left hand, according to head coach John Danowski.
Yeah, he's a player who is, he just glides through his dodges. And the remarkable thing about him is he's always got his head up, so he's such a great passer off his dodge.
And Vermont ball.
Vermont ball. McAdory coughed it up.
See if the Catamounts can capitalize in transition. They have trouble picking it up. That's Colin Sharkey, 22 in green on the far side. Limoges being hounded by Frizzoli. Duke's had to change things up defensively from last year to this. John Danowski saying we need our guys to mature back there. Wilson Stevenson becoming a senior, Kenny Brower becoming a junior, and Will Frizzoli stepping into more of the limelight this year for the Blue Devils. Jonas Hunter, he's out of Portland, Oregon, one of 27 players.
Duke coming hard on the double play. Cole Krause pushing the perimeter out a little bit, trying to make them make longer passes, more recovery time.
Single digits left on the shot clock. And if Duke grabs it, they'll hold on to possession. They do before the shot clock expires.
Duke in transition now.
Krause to the opposite side. Robertson shoots and stopped by Cornell. Ryan Cornell has come up with timely saves. That is his 5th of the day.
Duke might have been advised not to take that shot. When you have such a great defensive stop like that, your defense has been playing for a long time. They're gassed. I know that it's the temptation to go to the goal right away as that transition team, but on that play, you might have wanted to get a good possession, get a goal, tie it up.
Klosterman gets topside, and Adler reaches above the crossbar to make the stop.
Seems like the momentum is shifting a little bit with respect to the Duke defense, which is something that they have been really playing most of the game. The ball's been down there. So, again, those guys have to make sure that they're not too gassed as we go into the second quarter and into the second half.
So what needs to change about the Duke attack right now? You got a hot goalie like Ryan Cornell. How do you beat this guy?
Honestly, you don't think about it, and you start playing loose. You know, they know this team knows how to play. So the mistakes they're making are mistakes that are usually ones you don't. They're sort of atypical. So it's like a push with possession. No, just push from behind.
Sean Lully to re-trigger the transfer out of Penn. They're very excited about Lully and his capability to play behind the cage and serve as a beneficiary of some of the other talented players on this Blue Devils roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know that, you know, the defense on Vermont, you know, they're looking at it and we can play with these guys. So how do you know that? See how far out they're pushing the offensive players. They're not packing it in, okay? And there's Cornell again with a great save.
That time stopping Brennan O'Neill, the prize sophomore for the Blue Devils, as Devin O'Leary, the transfer out of Stony Brook, pushes ahead for the Catamounts. In-conference transfer for head coach Chris Fifes. They love that O'Leary can help out on the face-offs as well when they double pull. And now the Catamounts try to extend their lead to 2. They have held Duke, a team that scored 10 goals in the first 9.5 minutes against Robert Morris on Friday, to just 2.
McCormick's looking to get his hands free.
Goes to the right hand and bounces it through Adler. Well, he has the lethal left hand, opts to go right, and Vermont doubling up Duke.
Yeah, you're seeing Vermont execute, and you know the Duke Blue Devils on the other side are really sort of scratching their head, looking for a solution.
Michael McCormack with 33 last season gets on the board and is really puzzling the Blue Devils right now here from Koskinen Stadium.
We love our new.
Only 2 have found the back of the net, thanks in large part to this man, Ryan Cornell, in cage for Vermont.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a hot goalie for the Duke offense. I mean, he's able to really get in front of almost any kind of shot here, running up the field, being the initiator on offense. He's called, the goalies are the first offensive player, getting the feedback, dumping it out for an assist. That's kind of transition you can't ever really get out of a goalie. So, if you look at complete up and down the field play, he's doing it all right now.
Doesn't that make you shake as a coach, right, to see your goalie going up that far?
Yeah, well, goalies are a hot commodity. You don't want to see anything happen to your goalie, but I can tell you right now, the Duke offense has really got to be thinking about their shots. You notice most of those shots in that reel right there are from pretty far out, which means that defense is really pushing them out to the perimeter.
Stalemate at the face-off X as we restart play here in the second quarter. It flings itself all the way into the Vermont offensive portion of the field, and Michael McCormack picks it up for the Catamounts. When COVID started to shut down the world back in 2020, McCormack, who was playing at Middlebury College 45 minutes south of Burlington in Vermont, both parties had mutual interest. And so McCormack, who set all of these records in Massachusetts for his high school with over 190 points as a senior at Greylock High School, Vermont said, yeah, come on in. And they have been really excited about what McCormack has provided this offense.
So if you're watching these plays, they're working the ball down every time on the short stick defensive midfielders like right now, and they're trying to test goal line extended to see if they can get that dodge, see if they can get that quick shot, or see if they can find someone open on the cage. Beautiful save by Adler.
Halting McConvey that time as Duke tries to clear. They've had some struggles in this category. Already with 2 turnovers in the clear game, but Garrett Ledman peels away with it for the Blue Devils.
Garrett Ledman. Now let's see if they're going to push or are they going to pause. Are they going to take a possession? They're going to push.
Sean Lully matched up with Will Jones behind the net as the Blue Devils start to make some substitutions. Cam Bador is on, 5 and white with the ball, along with Dyson Williams, 51. Bedore coming off the season-ending ACL injury. Second time in his career that he's overcome that. Bedore now a graduate student. Williams approaches, bounces it low, and Cornell stops another one. And Nick Alvidi clears for Vermont. Chris Fifes believes that Alvidi is the best long stick midi in the entire America East.
Dyson Williams on that last shot tried to get in off the goal line, extended, bring it back. Lefty shot. He's a natural lefty. Beautiful save by Cornell.
Can't say it enough. This Vermont team just seems so poised. So many travel difficulties in the past couple of days. You open the season with the #3 team in the country, and they have the 2-goal lead right now. Haley against Wade. McCormack using that frame. He shoots, and Adler comes up with it for the Blue Devils.
You know, if there's one word I could say right now to describe Vermont, is they're playing with a degree of swagger. You know, they're making the plays where they need to make them. So that was after the fact, push from behind.
And Chris Fifes irate on the Vermont sideline. So 4 minutes to go, opening half. This could be a pivotal juncture in this game. Does Vermont extend the lead, or does Duke creep right back into it? What stood out to you thus far about this Catamounts D, aside from Cornell's play?
Their athleticism. I mean, you know, if this is something that, you know, you come to a game like today, if you don't have athletes, you're not going to be able to keep up with these guys. So if you look at them, the Duke guys, they're right on their hands, right? They're not able to make the easy pass. And that's something that is a product of athleticism and hustle. Cornell again. So are these shots the best shots that the Devils could be taking? Probably not. But the defense is right up on them the whole time.
Sean Lully couldn't convert that time for the Blue Devils, and Vermont moves ahead with an opportunity to get a 3-goal cushion. And the Catamounts elect to take their final timeout of the first half. So just over 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. And Dave, you're on the Blue Devils sideline right now. John Danowski, defensive coordinator Ron Caputo. What is the message to this defense right now as Vermont has an offensive opportunity?
I think the message is, from the defensive standpoint, is communicate. You know, a lot of those breakdowns that you saw at the goal line extended have been because there wasn't an effective slide package coming in. So they've got to communicate. Adler's been keeping them in the game, to be honest with you. And the short stick defensive midfielders are just getting, they're just a step slow. So, you know, I think communicate. And on, you know, on the offense, they have to really think about the opportunities and the pace of the game that they want. You know, if this is going to be a low-scoring game and it's going to be a 10-9 game, then every possession is going to count. You can't have any turnovers.
Catamounts have not seemed phased whatsoever. This is a team that last year entered the Carrier Dome against Syracuse, one of the top teams in the country, early last year. And Vermont only lost that game by 4. They hung around the entire game. Tommy Burke, the face-off man, was fantastic. In the end, Syracuse's goalie Drake Porter made 21 saves, which was a career high at the time. And Mike Adler is doing some similar things right now for Duke, like you said, Dave, to keep this Blue Devils team afloat.
Yeah, I mean, if you get into the far reaches of a game and you're close with a team that you didn't think you were going to beat, everyone starts to believe. It gets infectious on the sidelines. And it's just one of those things where I think that right now, that level of swagger that I was talking about really comes from that. These guys in green are hopping up and down on the sidelines because they're in sunny Durham and they think they can win.
Vermont with 4 different goal scorers this game: Klosterman, Limoges, McCormack, and Fennick. All members of the front 6 for Vermont that started last year, they're all back. And that chemistry has paid off thus far for the Catamounts. Here is Griffin Fennick. Matched up with Jack Frizzoli, the transfer out of Harvard, the older brother of Will Frizzoli. So the two Frizzoli brothers, 7 and 17 in white.
It's a two-man game. They're looking for a switch. Stevenson going to get it back up top. And now they're going goal line extended. Inside.
.20 to shoot. McConvey gets the left hand free, and Mike Adler makes a stop and then barrels into his own cage off the rebound by Limoges.
Beautiful save by Adler. Beautiful save. Wide open opportunity. Just a great play by Adler. The rebound unfortunately goes in front of him. He can't get it. Nice behind the back effort by Vermont.
Hunter to McConvey at goal line extended, warded off there by Kenny Brower. Shot clock did reset, so it's at 45 right now.
Yeah, I'm just struck by the composure of their offense. You know, they're not making a lot of mistakes. They're moving the ball. They're dodging and then replacing. And they're really reacting to the pressure that Duke's trying to put on them.
Fennick. 20 seconds now remaining on the shot clock. David Klosterman, 10 in green, the leading assister last year with 22. Klosterman this time shoots, and Mike Adler catches it in the big spoon.
Adler keeping these guys in the game right now. Again, early second half, but very important save right there.
About a 5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. So for the Blue Devils, they're trying to hold on for the final shot here, yes?
Yeah, I think so. But, you know, if you can get some really quick offense right here and then get another face-off and win by Jake Naso and bring it down, you might be able to do some more damage than you think. So it depends.
A little double dip.
Yep. I mean, that's a lot of time.
Kai Montgomery, 15 in white. He has both goals for Duke after not scoring in the opener. Graduate student with plenty of experience. He played football this fall, and John Danowski said, look, we don't need a guy like Kai Montgomery to be here in the fall because he knows all the terminology. We got to work on the freshmen, the sophomores, and the juniors. 20 seconds remaining in the half.
Cartery.
McAdory. Denenza. 12 seconds remaining. Robertson behind the cage, looks for Lully. That's off the mark. Frizzoli taps it forward. 5 seconds remaining in the half. And a shot clock violation against the Blue Devils. So Vermont with one last gasp at a 5th goal here in the first half. Cornell way down the field, and it's over the outstretched arm of Michael McCormack, and that's how the first half ends. Duke with 21 goals on Friday, just 2 in the opening half, and Vermont doubling up the Blue Devils 4-2 at half.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was a very athletic goalie, and
Massive slugfest thus far from Koskinen Stadium. Vermont with the lead, 4-2 over number 3 Duke. Welcome back to Durham, North Carolina. Corey Spector with the former Duke attackman, David Keefe. And Dave, both of these goalies are really stepping up to the plate.
yeah, Cornell is, I think, playing out of his mind. This is the game. This is the game he wanted to be playing. He's taking shots from way out. He's getting seeing the ball. He's in the right position at the right time, but also down close, in low, and making great transition. You can't make this kind of stuff up. And watch, he stays in the play as a trailer. He knows what to do. 4-on-3 fast break, textbook. Boom, he's acting like an attackman.
Each goalie with 8 saves thus far, and Mike Adler is really keeping Duke in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Adler is a very athletic goalie, and he can see the ball very well on most occasions, and he's able to really understand the direction of the ball and get in front of it. A lot of his shots right here, it really was what's keeping him in the game. So I think that the Vermont team has outshot the Devils 20-17. You would have never thought that at halftime.
And the Catamounts, although the offense hasn't been firepowered, it's been 4 different goal scorers with Klosterman, Limoges, McCormack, and Fennick. So back to the face-off X we go to start the second half. It has been even at the face-off X with 4 apiece between Vermont and Duke. And if you're on the Blue Devils side, you're John Danowski, Dave, what's the message to this team? How do you improve on that on the offensive side?
I mean, on the offense, they're not taking high percentage shots, and they're not being patient enough to wait for those high percentage shots. They need to space out, they need to play loose, and they need to trust each other, right? So there's a lot that goes into that.
Tommy Burke wins the initial face-off cleanly. They try to go quickly with Limoges, who is just surrounded by 3 Duke defenders. And now the Catamounts settle it down. It's a Vermont program that has faced Duke 3 times as a Division I program and has lost all 3 times. The guy to my right was on the field for one of them.
Yeah, 35 years ago, roughly. Played against the Catamounts, a really great team back then in the ECAC, led by guys like Scott Gabrielson, who went on to become a national champion at the Philadelphia Wings. Guys like Craig Mygett, who was known as Mayhem and really could create a lot of havoc behind the goal. Steve Wilson and Russell Spencer anchoring the defense.
Well, that Catamounts team, a lot different than the one we're seeing today. Your Duke team won by 16 goals that day.
Yeah, it was, it was, like I said, it was a high-scoring game and a really great, capable team of Vermont was back then, and they built the tradition of this program right here.
Duke forces the turnover on the opening possession for the Catamounts, but Jake Caputo loses it. And here comes Jackson Canfield, coming off a season-ending injury a year ago. Partially torn ACL, Canfield thought that he'd get back in the lineup late in the year, but decided when the knee was feeling a little loose, he said, you know what, I'm going to shut it down, not waste a year of eligibility. And Vermont is very excited to have 27 in green back on the field.
Yeah, just another, unforced error by Duke, and really got to reduce those if they're really going to put a cap on this strong UVM scoring drives.
McConvey whistles it high and wide, backed up though by Vermont, as Jonas Hunter picks it up behind the cage. Seen a lot more of Matt Camille in the second game for the Blue Devils. He guards Hunter. As they get it back out to McConvey, exchanges hands, flying through the air, and shoots it wide, backed up by the Blue Devils. Nice job by Kenny Brower.
Nice job by the Blue Devils. They need to get this ball cleared over the restraining line and out very quickly. Clearing was not a problem the other day, and today the Catamounts are really getting right up in their faces early on. They're pushing them into a shorter positions on the field.
8 giveaways already for Duke. As Vermont is looking for a hold, they don't get it, and Nakai Montgomery peels away with it for the Blue Devils. Unsettled situation with Robertson to the doorstep, and Dyson Williams punches it home.
Yeah, just a great unsettled play. This is going to happen when you try to jam the Duke players into a small space. There's going to be uncertainty, 50-50 ground balls. They picked that up, went right to the goal. Dyson Williams puts it home.
Yeah, Chris Feiss and the Vermont coaching staff thought that Stone Jacobs was being held by Montgomery. They don't get the call. They leave Williams wide open in front, and the Blue Devils are within 1. So now the Catamounts facing some adversity, right? You have the great first half, can't score on the first couple of possessions, and Duke makes this a 1-goal game. Cole Kraus flips it forward. And the Catamounts have the ball. They lose it, though. That was Colin Sharkey. And sticks, bodies flying all over the place. And finally, Garrett Ledman has complete control for the Blue Devils with a chance to tie the game.
Duke's happy about those last 2 plays. They've now trying to get some time possession on the clock, get in a rhythm. That's one of the things that I think that Danowski's probably was talking to them about in the locker room. Let's get in our rhythm. Let's do our thing. Fundamentals.
McAdory dodges down the alley. Slide comes from Sharkey. A lot lot of exterior play right now for the Blue Devils. O'Neal against Canfield. What a welcome back for Jackson Canfield as O'Neal puts it home. Brennan O'Neal pumps up the Duke sideline, and we are knotted up at 4.
Yeah. Brennan O'Neal, one-on-one individual effort. Hard to stop with one person. Denenza brings it down, moves it around. Brennan O'Neal says, I'll decide. One-on-one matchup, double team slide, comes across, does a question mark dodge, question mark shot, puts it right in, boom.
Dave, wasn't it funny when we spoke to head coach John Danowski this week? He said, you know, one of the things that we were trying to improve upon this offseason, he put his hand next to his mouth and he said, we're trying to get the ball more to Brennan O'Neal. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they have an embarrassment of riches on offense. They really do. But Brennan O'Neal is the guy that, you know, this year as a sophomore, their mantra is, you know, let Brennan be Brennan, and you know, that's what he did in the Robert Morris game, and to a degree he's starting to right now. But you know, the key thing is you put 2 guys on Brennan O'Neal, you still got to cover Dyson, you got to cover Montgomery, you've got to cover McAdory. So it's you know, it's not an enviable position for any defense.
No doubt about it. So Brennan O'Neal, after the 6 goals on Friday, gets his first today. Now can Vermont get that coveted response as McConvey can't catch the pass. Lewandowski looking for it for the Catamounts. It's taken by Duke. Blue Devils in transition. Robertson, Williams, yes! And the Blue Devils with a 3-0 run to start the 3rd quarter. They have the lead against the Catamounts.
Yeah, great ground ball effort, picking it up in transition, eyes open, head up, bringing it down, cross cage pass, exactly what you want, one-on-one with the goalie, hard to stop for Cornell.
Well, UI illuminated this early. The transition game for Duke in the win over Robert Morris was so spectacular, we really had not seen it in the first half today. We're seeing it in half number 2.
Yeah, and you know, transition is really about, you know, anticipating where you need to be in those unsettled situations, and you know, and getting the right guys to create that imbalance. And that's the thing, you know, so it's back to the Syracuse days in the 90s. You know, those teams were run and gun, and they would take a tremendous amount of shots in a game. Not all of them will go in, but they never let you rest. And that's the key. So if you're going to decide to play that, then you're going to have to make sure that you're doing things like just like that, no turnovers, and then the Duke team is going to come in and potentially, you know, get the ball going in the other direction. So
Klosterman shooting wide, but nobody back there for Vermont, and the Blue Devils have it. Ledman falls down around 2 Catamounts defenders, but Ledman regathers.
Ledman, all 6'4", 230, I believe. You know, that's not an easy guy to take down. So, you know, these are some big bodies that are flowing around in transition, as we were talking about.
Second line midfield out there with Charlie O'Connell, Garrett Ledman, and the transfer Grant Mitchell from Ohio State. Not taking O'Neal off the field, takes on Canfield.
You see the Duke offense getting in a little bit of a rhythm right now, right? They're trying to work for that high percentage shot. It doesn't mean one-on-one with the goalie necessarily. Beautiful defensive check.
And here comes Nick Alviti, the long stick midi for Vermont. Catamounts working quickly. Limoges goes low, Adler stops it. And flagged down by Brower, although Limoges almost caused the turnover. Adler spry out of the crease, and it's Duke ball.
Back in transition, this is getting exciting.
Mitchell, oh, he is devoured inside. Robertson scores.
Yeah, that was just it was a clean hit, but it was one of those where the entire momentum of his body was going towards the goal, and he had no ability to see. Beautiful check there. That's called a windmill, as you see the stick go up and then bringing it down here. Duke did a really nice job sloughing in, making sure that they limit the shot. Great save, gave Adler time and space. Stevenson comes up with it, then Adler clears the ball. This is transition in action right there. That's a 40 right there. It was a 35, 40-yard pass coming down, cross cage. One more look, one-on-one with the goalie.
Off the face-off, Vermont tries to go quickly. Burke in front. McCormack is halted by Adler.
Adler's coming up big. He's feeling it right now. He's feeling it. And the Duke team is responding. And this is what we were talking about before. They're sensing it. Their sense of swagger and organization is back. And they're moving the ball in a methodical way. Brennan O'Neill looking for that, again, high percentage opportunity. Something was said in that locker room by Coach Stanowski. You can believe me.
Yeah, they look fired up to start the second half.
Something changed, and he's known as the master of the second half. He really is. And that goes back to NCAA championship games or early season non-conference games. He knows how to make adjustments. Saved by Cornell. He's all over that one. I think it was a little bit broadcast by Brennan.
When you say broadcast, you mean just they could see it pretty easily coming?
Yeah, he dropped his stick low, and he was leaning on his back foot. So at that point, you don't know exactly how much he's going to be able to get on it. Brennan O'Neill likes to be moving forward into his shot.
Griffin Fennick now slowing it down for Vermont. Catamounts with 4 goals in the opening half. They've yet to score in the second. They go to their leading goal scorer, McConvey. The shot goes wide on the outside by Fennick.
So the difference right now, as you see, is Duke's forcing them to take shots farther out, right? And it's giving a little bit more time and space on the ball for Adler to see and for slides to come, which is exactly what you just saw right there.
Kenny Brower bruising down the attackers, but McCormack gets it back.
Spaced out.
Fennick against Camille. The exchange for Caputo with 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Hunter takes the screen. Fennick goes down. A legal screen against Vermont, and it's Duke ball. Very similar to basketball. You can't be moving those feet, and it results in Duke possession. We talk about the Canadian influence for the Catamounts. 6 players from Canada. They love to use that 2-man game, those Canadians.
They do, and the way they play also is they play cross-handed, so they don't even have to switch hands when they're playing and when they're moving the ball, and that right there allows them to hide their stick, and so it's very hard to actually play and know where the ball is many times when you're playing against a Canadian player.
Duke saw 20-plus Canadians on the Robert Morris roster on Friday, another 6 here for Vermont. And Chris Fife's told us he hasn't been able to go to Canada in the past couple of years due to the travel restrictions, but he usually goes around twice a year.
What you just saw there was a turnover by Vermont and then another turnover regaining possession by Duke. Great goal by Montgomery.
Third of the day for Nakai Montgomery. And the Blue Devils have stormed out to start the second half and lead 7-4. Montgomery unabated to the cage. And Duke leads by 3.
I came across somewhere upstairs
This game, but a 5-0 run for the Blue Devils to start the third quarter and a 3-goal lead for Duke.
Yeah, Duke's really taking its time on its possession, working for the best shot. That's all they really need to do. They've got the talent. They got to make sure that every shot they take is the right one at the right time, and moving the ball, always having one extra player there in order to close it out. Nakai Montgomery making a beautiful downfield move and goal line extended. You know, that's the team that scored 10 goals in the first half against Robert Morris.
Nakai Montgomery, the latest goal scorer. He has 3 today. Had just 15 all of last season. And Vermont with the deficit of 3. They do have the advantage in the face-off department, and they win yet another. So with this Duke team, Dave, you talk about a team that scores 21 goals on Friday, comes out in the first half, puts up just 2. Is that fatigue? Is that energy? Like what is it that's so different about this Duke team in the second half?
You know, I think, well, number one is they weren't playing with composure. I know that this Duke team does not underestimate any of its opponents, especially any top 20 teams. I just think that there are times when you try to execute your game plan, and maybe something that the other team is doing throws you off a little bit. And a hot goalie can do that, and that's certainly what we've seen today with Cornell. You know, right now the Duke is ahead, but the score is close because of Cornell.
Charlie O'Connor, 12 and white with the ball. You know, people around the Duke program think that O'Connor is kind of this hidden gem with all the talented players that the Blue Devils had. He feeds to the crease. Robertson, and Cornell stood tall there. Robertson still with it. He goes low, and it's wide of Cornell. Dyson Williams, the only man back there for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, to your point, that was just an insane feed down to Robertson. I don't know how he threads the needle on that. Robertson smartly, though, pulled it out, right? So that's what I'm talking about, getting that high opportunity, that high percentage shot. And now we've got possession, right? So ball's in our stick.
Mitchell twirling, goes left and wide. 7 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Let's see how aggressively the Blue Devils attack. They try to go inside for Lully, and Vermont with possession prior to the shot clock expiring.
Duke hustling on the field in transition.
Sean Lully just hacking away. McCormack there with 3 Duke players. Adler comes out of the crease, and Carpenter, it bangs off of him. Vermont ball. What can the Catamounts do differently on this side of the ball?
You know, the Catamounts right now have to sort of regroup a little bit and understand that Duke was going to make a run, right? And that is a really big thing. Composure right now, they've really been playing great all game. So, you know, just understand it. They got to do this for 60 minutes, and that was one of the key things that we mentioned in the very beginning of the broadcast.
Clay Weiss is decked, and a loose ball push. It's Vermont ball. Clay Weiss, second line midfielder for Vermont. His father Paul played for Vermont in the late 80s. Maybe you went up against him, by the way.
You know, I don't recall the name, but there was a lot of great Catamounts over time. I'm sure I'll meet up someday. Maybe.
Fennick, goal line extended. Draws the slide. Hunter, he loses the ball, and Mike Adler scoops it up. Wilson Stevenson on the defense for the Blue Devils.
Clean check. What we're seeing right now is why are some of these checks working for the Blue Devils? For the first time in the game, the Catamounts aren't moving their feet when they're dodging, and it's and you know that's making it so they're sort of a little bit easier for them to apply some of the pressure that the Duke defense is rendering right now.
Duke had 2 early turnovers in the clear game. They have not turned it over in that category since. So much cleaner play for John Danowski's club. Owen Caputo, all-time leading goal scorer in North Carolina high school history. He pots one for the Blue Devils, and an 8-4 lead for Duke.
Owen's coming down. It's a classic move. He does this a lot. He takes the opportunity. He throws it right by the corner, up in the shoulder of Cornell. And, you know, I don't even think Cornell saw that. You know, the sun could be a factor right now for Cornell, and it's actually where he is on the field, and that's something you can't take lightly.
It's a family background for Owen Caputo. Jake plays here, Father Ron, the defensive coordinator. And, you know, for a goalie there, right, isn't it more difficult for a guy like Ryan Cornell to stop the ball on the opposite side when it's near his ear as opposed to a little bit further out?
You know, it depends. You know, that was a cross-cage shot, so you know he's really looking at where the ball's coming off of the stick, and to the degree to which Caputo is able to sort of hide that, and in his delivery, I mean that's one of the things that that Brennan O'Neill is so hard to defend, because his shot comes from all the way down low and then comes over his body, and sometimes you can't even see where the ball is.
So who does Vermont go to now? 6 consecutive goals for Duke out of halftime. Liam Limoges, he had the opening goal for the Catamounts.
Duke looking for a stop right here.
Limoges with space, and Adler with the perfect positioning on the stop against Limoges.
Duke's got to take care of this ball, make sure there's no turnovers, and get it down in the offensive zone. They've got plenty of time for a play.
15 seconds remaining, third quarter.
Brennan O'Neill on the charge.
O'Neill hammers it down. It goes off the face mask of Cornell, who's out of the crease. 7 seconds to go. We've seen this before. And Vermont's not going to be able to get off a shot. But a flag is down as the quarter expires. So we will check on that when we come back for the fourth quarter. 6-0 blitz for Duke in the third, and a 4-goal lead over the number 17 Vermont Catamounts. A motivated Blue Devils team in the third quarter, led by Nakai Montgomery, affecting all areas of the field.
Yeah, Nakai's just he's a hoover on the ground balls. Amazing first step when you talk about his ability to dodge. You're going to see a couple examples of this coming up, but he's the playmaker. Doesn't matter where it initiates from. He knows how to do it. His overhand shot is legendary. Comes in, can drill it usually on the ground, and then just an amazing first step. Sweep dodge here. No one's picking him up. He's going to put it high heat. And then coming down off the goal line, extended first step, just blows by people. He's the best first step in the NCAAs.
Well, when you play running back in the fall, maybe you improve your speed a little bit, and that's what Montgomery did. He had 3 carries for 28 yards, so if you expand that a little bit more and give him some more run plays, then Montgomery could expose that. Right before we went to break, Duke was flagged. It was Wilson Stevenson for a slash, so Vermont goes man up, trying to inch its way back into this one. What do the Catamounts look for here?
Well, right now, I mean, you're looking at a pretty big deficit in a low-scoring game. I mean, if this is a 15-13 kind of game, you know, that's one thing. But you know, this game is low-scoring, so you got to really take advantage of this, making sure you fight for that great shot.
McConvey, Klosterman back in front, intercepted by Duke's Tyler Carpenter, and the Blue Devils will kill off this man up for Vermont.
From a momentum perspective, that was actually a very big play for the Blue Devils, because if you're looking at going into an 8-5 game right off the bat, that gives Vermont a real edge. So big stop right there. Again, I don't know if that was a well-advised pass into the center, which was pretty clogged.
Catamounts now 0 for 3 with the extra man today. Still within striking distance, though, down by 4. We haven't seen much from Andrew McAdory, number 2 in white with the ball, St. Anthony's product, out on Long Island. One of 4 key players for this Blue Devils team from St. Anthony's. McAdory draws the slide. Denenza waiting for an opening. Vermont's defense clogs it up. And now Brennan O'Neill.
Drawing the short stick.
He isolates, he goes, and he shoots it wide to the left side of Cornell. Shot clock is down to 8.
So they were trying to get that matchup. They finally got it. It just wasn't able to get the right angle on the shot.
Lully, he scores!
Lully scores.
Sean Lully puts it through Ryan Cornell. And Duke on a 7-0 run in the second half extends its lead to 5.
Yeah, this is just great. Next man up. I'll take it. 8 seconds left. You know, a lot of teams might not have known how to get composed with only 8 seconds after O'Neal misses that shot. Lully, next man up, says, I'll take it.
Sean Lully, the grad transfer from Penn, wearing that familiar number 23. It was worn by Michael Sowers last year. And John Danowski has said that this transition for Lully, it's been seamless. This complimentary attackman, he's suited for behind the cage, and he shows off his prowess there. You know, we talk about a guy like Michael Sowers last year, right? It was sometimes like you're trying to fit your glove or your hand into a glove, and your hand's a little sweaty, doesn't really work out that well. Sean Lully, though, comes in, he does not need the ball. That's what John Danowski told us.
Yeah, I think he's going to find his role. And, you know, I think that, look, the Danowski's teams are always evolving all the way even up until April. You know, so, at the end of the day, Lully's going to be able to work as a productive player, has to find his role, and he's going to do it.
Vermont needs an answer, and they need it quickly as McConvey is shoved off by Stevenson.
Duke defense entirely different than they were in the first half. You see it organized. They're taking. They're holding their shape.
Oh, what an overhead goal by McCormack! You kidding me with that stuff?
McCormack looking for that matchup, looking for that key matchup behind. He draws a short stick. And that's exactly what we talked about. You know, they're going to attack you, but they're going to try to get the right matchup. Short stick, over the shoulder. Hard shot for Adler to actually see coming at him.
Chris Pfeif's the head coach of Vermont, wants McCormack to be more than just a one-trick pony. Has such a powerful shot from the outside. We saw it last year, but this year he wants to see McCormack create individually, shoot off the run. We saw it right there, and the Catamounts down by 4. A long stretch for Vermont without a goal, their first since the second quarter. But now back-to-back possessions for the Catamounts. Can they start to get in a groove here?
You know, when you're looking at right now that, you know, that level of swagger, a lot of it is when, you know, when do your key guys start to score again? You know, when you see that, it gets infectious. So the issue is they can't rush it. They have plenty of time. They just have to do fundamentally what their game plan was when they came in here.
Limoges draws the short stick against Jake Caputo. Now the slide comes. Duke settles back in. McCormack. McConvey makes his defender shake. He shoots, and Adler just gets a piece of it. Shot clock resets to 60.
It's a great trail check by Duke on that play. Got a little bit of it. Maybe gave Adler a little bit of time to get on the ball. Similar shot right there, low to high, off balance.
And Limoges slow to get up, gets some help from his teammate J.J. Lewandowski. Limoges only at 5'9", 155, but Chris Pfeif's called him the toughest player on our team. McConvey finds the back of the net. Two consecutive here for the Catamounts. Vermont creeping closer.
Yeah, it was a great dodge. He was able to really deceptively bring it inside, cross face, bring it back around, and then just, as he's diving, put it right off the shoulder of Adler. Pretty hard dodge to stop.
Well, McConvey had the screen there, so what's the proper communication from a defensive perspective? Because McConvey decides there not to use the screen and goes to his right.
Well, I think he's just looking at where, you know, he sees where the slide's coming from, and he's going to make that determination. And so, you know, it's all about his vision right there. Another key face-off.
Tommy Burke has certainly been dominating of late, but then Duke forces the turnover with Kenny Brower.
Duke's got numbers.
O'Neal to Kraus, And now Robertson puts it behind the net. Duke moves the ball quickly. O'Neal gyrating, spinning, and shoots it wide. Cornell may have gotten a piece of it.
They're doing a good job keeping O'Neal about 13, 14 yards off the cage. And he's got his effectiveness is to be able to actually power his way in and get a lot closer to the goal for those shots.
Charlie O'Connor against Stone Jacobs. O'Neal with a crevice of space, and he puts it home.
Absolutely blazing shot. You know, if you're going to come out and play him, he'll dodge. If you're going to come out and play him, he'll dodge on you. And if you don't come out and play him, he'll take a straight up shot that's just an absolute cannon.
Well, Vermont has kept him in check. 8 shots for O'Neal. That's just his second goal, but those are the types of plays that really make you wow.
Yeah, like I said, you have 2 options with him. You come out and play him. He's 237 at his playing weight, and he's going to blow by you. Or if you hesitate and you stay back, he's going to just take that shot. So he's almost impossible to play.
Face-off violation against Jake Naso and Duke. Brennan O'Neal, the youngest ever verbal commit in the history of the sport. He chose Penn State initially, back in 8th grade, but then decided that Duke was the best place to go, both from an academic and athletic standpoint. 45 goals his freshman year, and he puts the Blue Devils on top by 4. Very quiet young man, Brennan O'Neal, just goes about his business. Says doesn't really try it all that hard as Griffin Fennick puts it in. And Vermont just hanging around right now down by 3.
You know, it's a great job for Vermont, taking their time, getting that shot. Carpenter slow to get out to cover him. He has the time, he has the space, he puts it right down on the ground, right through on the offside. Low offside, just beautiful placement. You know, that's what they have to do. That's a high percentage shot for these guys. Another face-off win.
Liam Limoges, Jack Frazzoli draws the assignment. Catamounts 0-14 all time against current ACC teams. 0-3 all time against Duke. Catamounts had a 4-2 lead at halftime. It's now a 3-goal advantage for Duke. Klosterman, Haley can't fire off the shot. Kenny Brower tangles him up. Scrum of players, and Duke has it. Stevenson lofts it ahead to his fellow defender and Will Frazzoli. Transition opportunity for the Blue Devils. Kraus. Robertson spins, finds the space, and locates the corner. Joe Robertson off of transition play for the Blue Devils. Very reminiscent of what we saw Friday against Robert Morris. And a 4-goal cushion for Duke.
Yeah, this was a textbook transition play. Down to here you see it, the final part of it. Robertson does a nice spin move, comes in, finishes pay dirt. Started with the defense, so a great defensive stop. Here's Robertson again. Puts it on the ground. Really nothing Cornell can do about it. That's a classic 4-on-3 fast break. Perfectly executed. Again, the goal started with defensive stop, though.
Joe Robertson, who combined for 90 goals in his first couple of years, tore his ACL in 2020. And now Duke again, it's Jake Naso! The face-off man! He gets the goal for Duke.
Jake Naso playing quick offense. Fogo, superstar.
Jake Naso with 3 goals last season. And Naso on the board. He has been dominated all game long, but gets the goal for Duke. Duke tore apart Vermont in the third quarter, and the Catamounts have found some of their offense, but Duke has stayed composed and a 5-goal lead for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, you know, it's actually a tale of two halves, right? And when you really look at what's going on right now, if you're Vermont, you're looking up at the scoreboard and you're saying, we've scored 7 goals in the entirety of the game. Can we score 5 or 6 to knot it up and go ahead in the remaining 7? So the clock can become the enemy right here.
We saw this Blue Devils team with 10 goals in the first 9.5 minutes in the win over Robert Morris on Friday night. Just 2 goals in the first half. They've exploded for 10 in half number 2. So at this juncture of the game, Dave, you have a 5-goal lead. Are you using some of that clock yet, or you're still running your offense fluidly?
Yeah, you're trying to probably take an extra, every possession, you're taking an extra 10-second more than you would right now in order to really sort of try to seal the deal. And you know, you're not making any ridiculous, you know, plays. You're trying to you know, play your game, do the things that you've, you know, been doing this half, and really focus on that. And that's what the coaches are telling them, right? Play loose, and make sure you're completing your plays.
Dyson Williams with the ball. He had 4 goals against the Colonials, and Dyson Williams has yet another for Duke.
And Dyson Williams, I mean, it's amazing that he's on the same line with Brennan O'Neill, because he is such an amazing threat. A Canadian who just can do it all from any part of the field, especially on the left side. You'll see right here, short stick matchup, comes around, brings it inside, and there's no slide. So, you know, this is again the dangers of having him and O'Neill on the same line.
So, Dave, you've got 4 long poles out there, right? If you're defending Duke, who do you put those long poles on? And who do you give the short stick matchup to?
I don't know. You know, it's a really good question, because, you know, every time I start to think that you become more attack focused, then you got a guy like Nakai Montgomery who they invert and they roll behind the goal. So that tends to send a whole different kind of schematic in there. But so many of these guys can invert that it's really a hard question to answer.
It's another face-off violation against Duke. Third of the half, so Vermont goes man up here. Down by 6, Catamounts could desperately use a goal here to give themselves a chance down the stretch.
Now, the last time they were in this position, it was a key moment, right at the beginning of the quarter, and they needed to capitalize. They forced it into the center. Let's see what they do now.
Catamounts 0 for 3 with the extra man. Wilson Stevenson hounding there. Ball is loose. Duke possession.
Quick turnover, flag on the play.
David Klosterman is down behind the play as Duke looks to hold on to the ball down in this side of the half and try to kill off the rest of the man up. They do so.
So that possession was likely checked to the head on the goalie. Klosterman thankfully is up, and Duke is going to be able to use this basically as a free play. So when you talk about clock management right now, you know, you might see the Devils bring it all the way down without much offensive, offensive drive until 15 seconds.
O'Neill against Canfield. Jackson Canfield in his first game since early last year after a partially torn ACL. That's the assignment he gets in game number 1.
Again, remember, it's a free play, so they're going to take a high percentage shot.
That seems high percentage to me.
That was high percentage. Upper shelf cheddar.
Andrew McAdory, the prized freshman, number 2 overall recruit, as the flag was down and McAdory puts it home.
Yeah, this is just an absolute speed dodge. He came around, and if you watch his first step, it's somewhat like Montgomery's. He's going to be able to just absolutely come around, square his shoulders as he comes around the goal. He's already got him beat right there. Comes around the goal, squares his shoulder, and goes high offside. There's no way to stop that.
You know, there's a story that came out of the Chaminade St. Anthony's game, which is the top game out in Long Island. And St. Anthony's, who McAdory played for, they're up by 1 in the final possession. His head coach puts McAdory as a short stick D-midi on Chaminade's best player in Charles Balsamo, who, by the way, is coming to Duke next year. And McAdory just shuts down Balsamo, and St. Anthony's wins the game. That's the type of versatility that they're getting in Andrew McAdory this year.
Yeah, this guy is his Swiss Army knife, as Coach described it to us during this week. He literally can take face-offs with confidence. He can play defensive midfield. He's on offense when he's needed on attack, when you just saw that from behind. And, he can do it all. And, again, he's an absolute beast in the weight room. So, low center of gravity. Has got his from the waist down, he's got such power. And he uses it. You can just see that first step. That's a result of that.
Now, you were a black belt, still are, by the way. Were you a beast in the weight room or no?
In the weight room, I did my share of time in the weight room. I enjoyed it, but I like martial arts a lot more.
I'll stay away from you then. Look at these top recruits for Duke. 5 in the top 65. We haven't even talked about guys like a Jack Gray or a Keith Boyer. With all the experience that the Blue Devils return this season, it's tough to fit those guys in the lineup.
It is. I think I said it. It's an embarrassment of riches in terms of the offense capabilities and opportunities and options for these Blue Devils. They are going to be able to use this. And one of the biggest things about it is if you make it to the Final Four, for example, you have a lot of these great players that get that postseason experience and they pass it on generation to generation to generation. And that's what builds winning programs. And that's why it was exciting to see UVM against Maryland last year, because those guys are back. They know what it's like to play in the postseason. They know what it's like to go up against Maryland and punch them in the mouth and see what happens.
And both of these teams, their seasons ended with losses against the Terps. Duke losing the Final Four, Vermont losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And some could say that Vermont played a more competitive game than Duke did against the Terps.
Yeah, every one of those games is a unique individual event. So I can't say that, one team playing against Maryland one way or the other, because it's all matchup driven. But all I can say is that, just to go out there, I look at UVM, and when I spent the time this week looking at it, the game against Syracuse, then the game against Vermont, for me, that put them on the map. They are firmly in the top 20.
Well, now they dug themselves in a bigger hole as the shot comes in front from Cameron Moulet. Ryan Cornell makes the save. Duke is on the man up here. There was a flag out prior to the goal.
Duke has no... I was about to say Duke has no incentive to wait right now. So I think that was right, very, very opportunistic goal taken. They could have spent some more time off the clock. Brennan O'Neill. Overhand howitzer.
The individual creation that this guy has, he's on the outside, he's 15 yards out, and it just does not matter.
Yeah, no, and when you really look at him, this ball is hidden from the goalie's view most of his windup, and that's when people say, how do you defend against him? No one knows yet.
Does he remind you of anyone?
He reminds me of LeBron James. I mean, he really does. When LeBron first broke in, it was the same kind of questions. Like, how are we supposed to defend against this guy? Now,
he was touted as the next Zion Williamson, but that's another step. Wow, I haven't heard that one yet.
Well, it's just in terms of his imposing figure. He's for me, if I'm not to go too deep into mythology, but he's Zeus, the power of Zeus, the body of Adonis, and the speed of Achilles. So when you look at that, how do you defend against that?
Such a special talent. 45 goals last year, 6 in the opener. He has 3 today, one of 3 Blue Devils with a hat trick. As Griffin Fennick, another save by Mike Adler, and that's one of the underrated parts of this game right now. Mike Adler with 14 saves. This could be a very different game if Adler's not on top of it.
Yeah, a lot of the lacrosse sort of psychology on the field happens with your goalies. When your goalies are not playing great, it tends to affect other parts of the field. But as a catalyst and as an adrenaline shot, a goalie's play can be so dramatically impactful on any game. And I think Adler probably wants a few shots back from the first half, but guess what? His second half has been off the hook.
Well, he's been the true neutralizer in this game because Vermont has won 17 out of the 25 faceoffs in this game. As O'Connor is decked, flag comes out, and Duke to the man up once Vermont gets possession.
Yeah, I think right now it's getting a little bit chippy, and this is what happens in the final minutes of a close game. Vermont's been holding in. We said at the very beginning of the game, can you do it for 60 seconds across all 110 yards of this field? So for 60 minutes, I mean. Can you do it for 60 minutes across 110 yards of the field? And that's the key thing.
So Vermont now man down for a full minute. Tim Manning goes off. And Duke just add insult to injury. Again, this was a 4-2 game at halftime. Vermont with all the confidence. Duke looked rattled after scoring 21 goals in the opener, but the Blue Devils stomped their foot down and really asserted themselves in the final 30 minutes of this game.
Yeah, and if you look at it, something we noticed the other day, back to how much talent there is on the Duke offense. Dyson Williams isn't on man up. Right? So that tells you something. If Dyson Williams isn't on man up, now he could be in different rotations in different games. They do switch it up, but that's just one more proof point what we're talking about.
Right, Dyson Williams led freshmen nationally a couple of years ago in goals per game. Nick Alviti in transition for Vermont, trying to get something going for the Catamounts as we approach the 2-minute mark in the final quarter.
So substitutions in. If I was Vermont, I'd actually be playing a little bit more hot right now. They don't have the luxury of time.
Thomas McConvey with the ball. He has just 1 goal today, the leading goal scorer from last year with 37, as Chris Fifes wants to draw something up. Less than 2 minutes to go. Duke has turned around a 2-goal deficit into an 8-goal lead. For this Vermont program, winning the America East last year, going to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history. From what you've seen today, what does Vermont need to do to take that next step, to be in the conversation for an NCAA quarterfinal appearance, let's say?
It's a long road. I mean, I think they have to win the games they are expected to win. To be honest with you, coming in here and having a score, if this is the final score, say 15-7, I don't actually think that'll impact their rankings at all. In fact, they could improve depending on who wins and loses this week. So, coming in here and doing a very good job holding Duke at 4-2 at the half, that's something that I think that they should be very proud of and build on. I don't think you leave this game and say, what do we do wrong? I mean, these guys barely made it here last night on their plane, right? So I say, to hats off to the Catamounts, and I'm looking for them to be, a top 10 contender in the years ahead, and could be quicker than that, But so that's the thing, and also the people who are watching this game, they're being recruited by Vermont. They want to play on a team that goes up against a Duke and has a really competitive game, right? So this is a great game for recruiting. And so was the Syracuse game last year and also against Maryland.
They were only down by 3 against the Terps last year at halftime. You see the 17-11 scoreline, you say, okay, they weren't really close. That's not the case. And you're going to see the scoreline today and say that's not the case either. But again, a Vermont 2-goal lead at halftime.
Well, what does that say, though? That says that they can hold their own with really great teams for a half. So to answer your question, you want to step up into the top 10 and be there permanently, you got to play 60 minutes.
Right, and Chris Fifes was saying that, look, we've got the top-line athletes to compete with Duke. We just don't have the depth that the Blue Devils have.
Right. Duke can wear down teams, and that's why a lot of their scoring happens in the third quarter.
Griffin Fennick, goal line extended, shoved off. Double team, and Duke wins the ball. That is Jake Wilson, the freshman defender, coming up with it, as the Blue Devils substitute some guys on here. Final minute of play from Koskinen Stadium. And Duke looks poised for a 2-0 start to the 2022 season. Blue Devils had been to championship weekend in 3 consecutive years. 3 national championships, but none since 2014.
Yeah, the Devils have a formula, and they work the formula every year. And it's not about every single game, individual game. It's about a series of games over a course of months that get them ready for postseason play. And that is that's something that it's a program, and a designed program. And I think that philosophy imbues throughout the entire season.
Vermont pushing forward with 10 seconds to go, trying to make this one a closer game, as Duke's defense has really put the clamps down on Vermont in the second half. Here is Michael McCormack shooting. Mike Adler makes one final save. That's his 15th of the day. And Duke, after trailing by 2 at halftime, storms away with a 15-7 win over the Vermont Catamounts.
Yeah, congratulations to the Catamounts. A great effort. They came down here. They showed them that they're ready to play. They're a legit top 20 team, and the Blue Devils are off to their next, matches in non-conference and ACC play. And it was a great game.
21 goals for Duke in the opening game against Robert Morris on Friday. Another 15 today, 13 of which in the second half. This is going to be a problem for ACC teams and those around the country all season long, as the number 3 Duke Blue Devils move to 2-0 in the season. Vermont drops the season opener for them. For our producer, Katie Bessel, and our entire crew, Corey Spector signing off. Duke wins 15-7 over Vermont.